Hi there. This book is Beyond That the Sea by Laura Spence-Ash. And this one is set during World War II, and it's the story of a child being sent to America to escape the bombing in London and how that choice impacts the lives of two families forever. So I've started to try and record this like 4 times. Every time my cat waits until I hit record and then just starts getting up to mischief. So fingers crossed. So 11-year-old Beatrix is sent by boat to Boston in 1940, where she stays with the Gregorys, going from her working class parents in London to an educated middle class family in the US. Beatrix falls in age right between the two sons of that family, and she soon feels right at home and is enfolded into the family life and feels like she belongs there. She spends formative years with the Gregorys, and it's a very hard adjustment when she's suddenly and abruptly called to return home at the end of the war. She can no longer stay in Boston, but can she adjust to life in London? Her arrival and departure have changed both families, and as the years pass, the lives of all the people touched by the choice to send her away are irrevocably changed. So as soon as I was a few pages in this book, I knew that this book was something special. There are a lot of books set in World War II lately, and a lot of them are, in my opinion, badly written. They're sometimes like very inaccurate or adhere to this formula that I think is really overdone of dual plot lines, like a past-present plot line. So a few of these books are genuinely good stories, and this one is one of them. This is much more in the vein of literary fiction than genre fiction. The book switches between different characters, and something I really liked about this was that it allowed us to see the inside of the more reticent characters. The author was able to show us a lot rather than just use dialogue to tell, and this was often quite poignant. Early on in the book, we learn that Beatrix's mother didn't want to send her away, and it was her father's idea, but he lets Beatrix think that it was actually her mother's idea. And that leaves Beatrix angry and resentful of the wrong parent. So we often see people's actions and behaviors and misunderstand them, or we don't have all the information. Sometimes people can't tell us how they really feel, and this was done so well in this book. There are quite a few characters whose perspective we get in this story, and it's a little long. None of it feels like filler, and it's very well paced, but it's like a thicker book. One thing I didn't like was that the author does this thing where they use italics and don't use a new line when there's dialogue. So like it's like non-traditional punctuation. This may have changed for the published book, but in my copy, that's how it was. And it just makes it a little harder to follow when there was conversation in the story, which I don't really like. I prefer to the more traditional. And I think it just felt a little bit kind of like they're trying to be a little bit trendy to not use normal punctuation, but that's okay. I think it does add a little to the sense that we are very much inside that character's perspective, as though we're listening to them listen to the conversation, perhaps. So something that really moved me in this book was the way that Beatrix doesn't really belong anywhere. In a sense, she has two families who love her, but in reality, she knows her time with the Gregorys has a limit, and she's not going to be staying there forever. And on returning home after years in the US and the kind of life that she lived there, she can't easily slip back into London life, and her home there literally no longer looks the same. I think this is so poignant and bittersweet. In some ways, it feels like the life and the family on the London end are in black and white, and the family in America are in Technicolor. There's so much warmth and color in the Gregory's house, and in Beatrix's parents' home, it feels more dark, damp, sad, because there's a war on. Her loss to both families at different times in the book her loss of both families at different times in the book in her life create a hole that can't be filled, and there's a hole in her heart too, so I think that was captured really beautifully. I also like the way the book showed the masks that people wear in life. Because we are inside the characters, the author really explores all the things they feel and don't or can't say, and how they present themselves to each other, who they want to be seen as, or how they may act in contrast to what they really want. This is a level of complexity that you don't often see in characters in a book, but most especially not in so many characters. So often people hide how they really feel, and they have a way or a persona that they want to be seen to their family, most especially. And I think this is especially true of the generation depicted in this book, who were not encouraged and not able to talk about their feelings and held to much more rigid roles within families. So it's a wonderful thing to see inside their kind of hearts and minds and how much they hide, and often quite sadly how much they long to reach out and connect with each other and can't. So this book made me feel a lot. I've said before, it's poignant, heartfelt, bittersweet. It's beautiful. It's a family saga largely, but it's also sometimes a bit of a romance novel, and of course takes in historical fiction as well. It's a lovely literary read and comes really recommended from me. And also, the publisher included the blueberry muffin recipe talked about in the book in our copies that were sent to us for review, which I think is a really great touch because it was just a sweet little nice thing. So this one is one for you if you like the time period, or if you've ever lived in a foreign place and felt like two places could be home to you, or sometimes that you felt like you're in between two homes. This is a beautiful book about a girl whose presence and absence changed the lives of two families forever, and how her life is changed forever too. This is highly recommended. And big thanks to Celadon for the ARC of this book they sent me to review and share with you guys. So yeah, thank you for watching. You can check out some of my other videos. I also have another channel and socials, so you can find links below if you want more of that. And if you want to hang out again, remember to like and subscribe. And you can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought, or let me know what else you might want to see. Thank you.